Hey students, my name is Yulia and I'm an executive function coach. I'm so excited to share this video with you about how to talk to your parents in a way that they will actually listen. And as a coach, I work with a lot of parents and I make videos just like this for parents about ADHD and executive function issues and so that they can better understand you, the kids, so they can help you better and help you in the same way that an executive function coach will understand and help you build the skills you need to get stuff done, to navigate life and school and your family in a way that lowers your stress and increases your joy and the amount of success that you get. So I'm so excited to share this technique with you. It's scientifically proven to get you more of what you want and to help you communicate in a way where your parents are actually gonna listen and hear your words. What's really important to understand before I share this technique with you, because the technique is so simple, it's really easy to learn, but what's really important to understand is these three different voices that we use when we communicate. And I'll talk about those three voices first, then I'll share the technique with you, and then I'll give you my favorite example of how I use this technique with my own family when I need them to really understand how they're making me feel and what they need to do a little differently in order to make me happier, meet my need. Now, it doesn't work 100% of the time because obviously you can't always get what you want and you can't control anyone else or what they're going to do, but when you use this technique, you're going to be much more likely to get respect from people and to be heard and understood by those you're talking to. So the cool thing is that this technique isn't just for talking with your parents. You can use it across any relationship that you have. And it's also a really great way to talk to a teacher, especially about something that's kind of difficult for you to talk about or something uncomfortable, or if you're asking them for a favor, etc. So here are first the three voices that we all use, whether we know it or not, in our communication. And what you want to do is become aware of these three voices so that you can pick the one that's going to serve you best. And usually there's only one of them that does that. So the first voice is the bossy or aggressive voice. And you can imagine that when someone talks to you in a bossy way, they're bossing you around or they're being aggressive or they're even threatening you, you're going to take that not very great. You're going to get defensive. You might feel threatened. You might avoid that person, or you might respond to them aggressively too. So sometimes the aggressive voice is needed, but most of the time it's not going to help you get what you want. It's not going to help you feel heard, and it's going to make that other person get really defensive and probably be aggressive back to you. So that's voice one, and we don't really want to use that very often. Voice number two is the opposite of that spectrum, and that is our whiny voice or our naggy voice. And I always picture a little baby in diapers because they're the ones who are experts at being babies, right? So they tend to whine and cry for what they need because they don't have the ability to communicate their needs in a way that they're going to be understood. So being whiny and baby-like works for them, but it's not a great way to earn respect. It's not a great way to let somebody else know how you feel. It might work sometimes if you annoy and nag that person enough. You might get what you want, and you might be successful sometimes with this, but it definitely does not create a healthy habit or a routine of communicating. And over time, it's going to make that relationship with the other person really difficult because they might just be really annoyed with you and tune you out, or they might respond to you in a way that's naggy or whiny, and then you're stuck in that cycle, and that's not fun for anyone. So the third voice that we really want to practice more often than not and become aware when we're not using is our assertive voice. And this is our adult voice. It's when we take our emotions and put them aside and really state what we need with a matter-of-fact tone. Like, this is what I feel, this is what I need or what I expect. and you are much more likely to be heard in that tone, because that other person is going to not feel judged like they would if you were being bossy, right? They're going to actually have a better chance of hearing your words when the emotional charge is not behind them, or when they're not feeling cornered by you or called out by you. So what you want to keep in mind when we're talking about this technique, or when you're using it, is that you want to step into your assertive voice and really have the ability to control your emotions and to say what you need calmly and to express yourself in a confident way, even when you might feel uncomfortable or emotional. So here is the 3-step formula, and I'll show you a sticky for each one of the steps, because we're gonna want to fill in the blank to make this statement apply to whatever the situation is. I'll give you an example that I needed a lot of help with in terms of my own communication, and I'll be honest, I struggle with executive functioning. I have ADHD and anxiety, so I tend to feel really big emotions, and when I was growing up, I was super aggressive. I would yell and scream and accuse, my parents of doing stuff, and that technique, although it probably helped me to feel a sense of relief because I was just blowing up and getting all these emotions out, it wasn't very helpful in getting me to get, first of all, getting me what I was asking for, what I needed, but I also didn't feel very heard and understood. And that's probably because when I approached, my parents in this way, they felt really disrespected, and they couldn't hear my words because I was triggering their emotions and their emotional reaction to me. So when you're using this technique, again, wait until you feel better. Wait until you've processed your emotions, maybe journal them out, maybe speak to a friend. Get to a place where you feel more calm, and make sure your parents are calm, because this stuff doesn't work when we're emotional. Our logical brain doesn't really work, so you can't logically, convince somebody out of their emotions. You want to wait until you're both feeling better. So the first part of this technique is to say this. So I'll use this example because it happened to me a lot. When you interrupt me, so I am addressing a behavior that they're doing that I don't like and I would like them to change, but I'm not directly saying to them, hey, stop interrupting me. I'm not doing it in the moment when I am interrupted either, because they're most likely not going to be receptive. But I am waiting for a later time to bring this up in a non-emotional way where it's going to be more likely that I will be heard and understood. So first of all, when you interrupt me, and we'll place this back here so we could see it. When you interrupt me, I feel. So now I'm reframing the conversation back to me, and I am telling this person how their actions are making me feel. This is so important to share before you ask them what you need, because when you can help that person connect their actions to how they're making you feel, you can really help them understand from your perspective. Because a lot of times when we're addressing someone else, we're only feeling our feelings and we're not really paying attention to how our words might be making them feel. So we can't expect people to read our minds or to feel our feelings for us. We want to be responsible for sharing with them how we feel. So when you interrupt me, I feel disrespected, or I feel like you're not really listening to what I have to say, or I feel like I'm being rushed and I can't collect my thoughts, or whatever it is that is making you feel. Last part is what you would like for them to do instead of interrupting you. So I'd like you to let me finish even if you need to say something. So I'd like for you to let me finish even if you disagree with me, or even if you have something to say. I promise I'll listen to what you have to say, but I want to make sure I don't lose my train of thought, or that I can stay calm when I'm talking to you about this, because it's uncomfortable for me. So that is the 3-step formula, and you can use this in any interaction and really just fill in the blank based on what you're trying to communicate. The good thing about this, again, is that you are not accusing or blaming that person. You're not being aggressive or whiny with them, and that's going to get them to actually hear your words. And you're going to feel way more heard, way more understood by that person, especially as you practice this technique moving forward. This isn't just a trick that you use once like a magic wand, right? This is a way of shifting your communication habits so that you are more likely over time to develop a way more responsive relationship with that person. So hopefully this technique is helpful to you, and hopefully you're going to put it into practice. And whether you believe me or not, if you're watching this and you're saying that there's no way that's going to work for me, I challenge you to experiment with it. Do it for 3 days in a row. Do it with your parents. Do it with your teachers. Do it with your peers. See what happens and see if you feel more heard and understood, and see if modeling this type of behavior to your family gets them to be more respectful and more assertive when they talk to you. Because let's face it, it's really annoying when we have these bossy or aggressive or whiny types of communication where we don't feel heard and understood at all. So I hope this was helpful to you. I hope you will apply this technique to reframe the way you say something so that you are more likely to feel heard, to be understood, and to get the result that you want.